Hello, it's Rachel from Stay Safe Online, and great to have you here again on the program. So now we're up to Module 2, and today I just want to give you a brief mention of the basics. So this is essentially what we will be covering over the next few weeks and months, and what you're going to learn about on the program. The stuff that you need to know and you need to have on your computer. And during each weekly module, we'll go through it in depth. Okay, so don't worry, don't get scared if at the moment this all sounds like double Dutch. It will be explained to you in more detail on each weekly module, but I just wanted you to have an idea of what you're going to be covering. Firstly, you need antivirus software, so hopefully you all have that. If you haven't, there will be a module on that later where we look at the best antivirus softwares and look at the results from the test labs and so on. But a lot of people who are on a Mac incorrectly think they don't need antivirus. That's not true. You do need it even if you're on a Mac. So I'm putting a link below for the antivirus software for a Mac. If you want to download it, you will need to register on that site. Now, this video is not going to cover in depth how to install that, but it will come later. So for those of you who are familiar with installing software on the Mac, you can just jump ahead and do it, and you know it's done, and run a full scan of your computer. For those of you not so used to the computer, stay tuned for the module where I go through that in depth and give you a video lesson on that. The other thing is you need your firewall turned on. So a firewall is really important for blocking port scans and trying to keep the hackers out that way. Later on, I'm going to have tutorials on how you turn it on, step by step, with screenshots for both Mac and Windows. Also though, if you have your internet router that allows you to connect to the internet, that little box, it might be a Linksys or a Cisco or a D-Link or a Netgear, it could be many things, but if that device has a firewall built in, it's really good to have that turned on as well. Another thing we'll be talking about is why you should never use WEP for Wi-Fi. So your wireless network, if you need to secure that using WPA or WPA2. There are different protocols. WEP, WEP, that's not secure. It can be sniffed very easily and it can be cracked or broken very easily. So we don't use WEP for wireless or Wi-Fi. So that's something else we'll cover later on. Now DNS, that's the domain name system or the domain name server. That's what, when you type in a web address, your system tries to change from that text. It translates it to a number that the computer understands, and that's called an IP address. Kind of think of it like a phone book. You look up the person's name, and then the phone book, if anyone uses a phone book these days, probably not, but you know, you put in the text, which is the name, the person's name, and you get the phone number from the phone book. Well, DNS is kind of like that for computers. You stick in the name of the website and it gives you the IP address, which is like the telephone number in a way. So one of the things we'll be talking about, and that's actually today's module, is DNS and what you should do there. And then there'll be a later module on a slightly related topic, which is modifying your host's file. So basically you can help make yourself more secure by using a particular DNS server or by locking down your host's file. Passwords and password managers, we'll be going through that. There'll be a module on that, and we'll talk about how passwords get cracked as well and why it's important to have a secure password. Also, we'll be talking about backing up your system. It's very important to have backups. There's an awful lot of ransomware type viruses at the moment that, and if you're not familiar with the term ransomware, it's where a virus goes on your computer and it pops up a message saying, you're da-da-da, pay us this money or else. Now the da-da-da bit could be, we have downloaded a whole load of child pornography images to your system, and if you don't pay the ransom, we will notify the authorities. Or it could say, we have encrypted all your files on your system and we will not unencrypt them or allow you to have access to them unless you pay this ransom. So, and for those of you who don't know what encryption means, you probably do, because all the secret messages that were transmitted during the World Wars and stuff. But basically it's when a message is encoded. So if a file gets encrypted, a whole load of extra characters and so on get put around the actual message in the file, and it makes it all confusing and no one can read it, essentially. So when something gets encrypted, it's very difficult to decrypt it, depending on what key they've used and so on. If you get hit with one of those ransomware like CryptoLocker, and there's a new variant on that recently as well, it's going to encrypt all your files, and obviously we don't want to pay the cyber criminals any ransom for two reasons. One, because we're then encouraging them to keep doing it, and secondly, would you trust them? Would you actually trust them if you pay them, that they're going to know which customer paid them and actually unlock your files? Personally, I think the chances of your files ever being decrypted or unencrypted by them are extremely slim. So I would not pay the ransom, and basically you're best off going back to a backup of all your files that was taken prior to the ransomware going on your computer. We'll also be talking about zero-day exploits and why patching your system is important. I mentioned that in Module 1 as well, but we'll go, as the program progresses, you'll learn the differences between, or learn more about viruses, trojans, worms, malware, spyware, adware, ransomware, rootkits, keyloggers and encryption. You'll know all about those things. You'll also understand about the risks of web surfing, like what happens when you go to a compromised website accidentally, what drive-by downloads mean, malicious content on a website, hidden iframes, JavaScript, Adobe Flash, phishing and fake websites and spear phishing, and we'll go through all of that. So you'll learn an awful lot by the end of this program, and I really will make it fun for you. Sorry, this is a lot of detail in today's one, but I want to give you a bit of an overview. We'll also talk about exploits, Java exploits, Shockwave Flash, Adobe Reader, and the operating system vulnerabilities and application vulnerabilities. But the main thing is you're gonna learn how to do the best thing to keep yourself safe and secure, so that you can use your computer for internet banking, and you can know that you've got everything locked down and you've done as much as you can to keep them out. So you're gonna learn the simple rules to live by when you're online, and having that knowledge puts you so far ahead of the majority of people who are on the internet. It makes you a hard target, and that's what we're aiming for, that they'll move on. I want you to have the confidence and know that you're secure, and I don't want what happened to my best friend or to my mom to happen to you. Okay? Thanks everyone.